Do you think it's acceptable to ask a question of Gary Kubiak yesterday, are you going to replace Peyton Manning with Brock Osweiler? Paraphrasing the question, but is that an appropriate question? You just use the word appropriate. Is that silly? Is that someone trying to bring attention to them? Is that a legitimate question to ask right now?
Well, the way it was framed, I think, was, you know, would you give him a series or two or some time off the way he's doing with some other positions? So, given the struggles of the offense, and also given that that Kubiak has been willing to use other guys for a series or 2 series or 3 series. Look how he's using Shaq Barrett, Shane Ray, Tyler Columbus played quite a bit on Sunday. In that light, it was appropriate, and it was phrased that way. It wasn't simply, are you going to bench Peyton Manning for Brock Osweiler? So I was okay with it.
I'm not okay with it. I understand that some people feel the need to put their opinions out there because they either don't like Peyton or they feel that Peyton is so bad at this point in his career he shouldn't be playing. But this is a 5-0 team. If they were 2-3, I would say, you know what, more of a fair question, because this team was built to win a Super Bowl right now. There are Pro Bowls littering this roster. But 5-0, and Peyton has come through in the fourth quarter in 4 of those 5 games. I don't think it's a fair question. I think you put Gary Kubiak in a very uncomfortable position.
But he knows how to answer that. I mean, he answered it very well.
Uncomfortable questions.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I know.
I've done plenty in my career. But as somebody who's covered this sport for a long, long time and knows how it works, you don't ask that question when a team is 5-0 and you're staring at Peyton Manning.
But he gave the right answer. He gave the answer that he should have given. You know, it was terse, but it was clear. And there's a difference between whether it's appropriate to ask the question or whether it's appropriate to do it. I mean, in no way, shape, or form am I saying that a 5-0 team should bench its quarterback. We've seen what happens when a 7-4 team is on a playoff track with a quarterback who isn't playing great and then gets benched. We saw that with Jake Plummer and Jay Cutler in 2006, and that's
which is still a mistake. If you go back to it, it was a mistake.
It was a mistake then. It's a mistake now. It would be a mistake now to do that. I mean, you have to think about everything from the overall team, like you say, 5-0, to the locker room. And when Mike Shanahan benched Jake Plummer, he lost the locker room. And if that happened with Peyton Manning, I think you'd have a similar reaction. And Gary Kubiak understands that very well.
What kind of havoc would that wreak in the locker room?
Oh, considerable. I mean, there's a lot of guys in that locker room who understand quite clearly that Peyton Manning is the reason why they have an AFC championship ring on their fingers. Having arguably the best statistical season in NFL history for a quarterback 2 years ago.
I don't think anybody wears an AFC championship ring. I think
you're probably right.
That's something you put in your jewelry box or in the box in your closet and you don't ever wear it. That's sort of like a loser's ring. That's like James Harrison saying to his kids and saying to the Little League team, we're going to give back participation. AFC championships don't matter if you don't win Super Bowls with this team. It would have mattered in the 70s with the Broncos, even into the 80s at some point. I think going to Buffalo and playing in the AFC Championship was quite an accomplishment that year, given that they had gone to 3 Super Bowls and had a chance to go to a 4th. But now, AFCs don't mean anything, really.
It's still a family heirloom for those guys that give it their grandkids someday.
With each of you in a way, and disagree. I don't think Gary Kubiak answered that well. I would have liked him to answer, because I went back, I read your piece this morning, I saw the interview, I was not there, I went through the whole interview that was above your story at denverbroncos.com, and he said, Peyton is just fine, thank you. Basically is how he answered the question. You said tersely, and he answered the question, but I would like to say, no, I'm not changing quarterbacks, because he said to me on Sunday, and you were in there when he said to me, you know, everything's going to, basically, in paraphrasing, everybody's looking at number 18, but he's not the problem. It's, you know, we had 2 drop passes in the end zone.
Maybe he didn't want to restate that. Maybe just like, okay, in his mind, like, I said it yesterday, I don't need to say that again. And he did sort of make the similar points yesterday over the course of his press conference about other things going on.
Yeah, and I would disagree with you. I think every person has a right to be a fool. So And some people ask questions. I don't know that I've ever asked a question for my benefit, to put myself out there.
Well, there are plenty of people in the media who do that these days.
And I find it
because they want the spotlight on themselves.
Sure. So from that standpoint, I disagree with it. Someone told me last week, oh, I heard your name and Les's name in the questions. I feel a little uncomfortable when Gary will go, and he's showing respect for me, but he'll say, oh, he did say, that's a good question, Woody, a couple of weeks ago, which I think stunned everybody in the room that I would ask a good question. Ask a bad question on Sunday because I couldn't quite get it out the way I meant to. And he said, I don't understand the question. What I was saying is, do you basically start over again with the offense and sort of just throw this aside and say, let's start from point A of where we want to go offensively? And I didn't have time to answer it, and I didn't answer. I said, you're breaking everything down. I didn't mean that, but what I meant, and when I rephrased it, it was a better question. So I asked, the next question is, and all of our live guests, including Andrew, of course, who has joined us now.
He's live.
Yep. That brought to you by, well, here it is, Papa John's Pizza.